cool. So welcome to this gathering. I'm really excited to talk about the current energy going on. There's a lot going on. We've had really intense Schumann spikes. We've had a major solar flare just happened over the weekend, and then now today we're landing on a full moon. It's a pink moon, or it's called the pink moon here in the States. I like the connection to, in some Eastern traditions, it's the Hanuman moon, which I really love the god Hanuman and that energy, which is very close to just that Christ consciousness, that unity consciousness, that unconditional love. I feel there's just kind of like that crystalline energy running through Hanuman. It's a super moon, right? And so that means it's really close to Earth. So the energy of Goddess Luna is more amplified. So we're going to get into all of that today and talking about what all that means, where we're at collectively, energetically. I know I do written energy reports in my emails, but I just kind of on a personal note, I've been really missing being live in this group, and I've kind of taken like a big hiatus. And I really miss community connection and just like popping in here and connecting with you guys. Because I haven't been running courses. I haven't been doing that because I've been working more in person in town here in Sedona where I live. But my schedule is changing. And I just am really wanting to create more space for this. Just, you know, this energy exchange and really just like community again. Because, you know, it's not getting... I don't like to put words like things are getting harder or more challenging, but although in ways I think there are new challenges arising because the energy is amplifying. And I think it's more important than ever that we have a sacred space to gather and just kind of check in about what's going on, that, you know, we're not alone in this journey, and to bring questions that we have that maybe are arising for us. So I'm going to leave space for that as well, like if you guys have questions. All right, let's get into this. So there's been big Schumann spikes, right? So we've got energy coming up from Gaia, right? So she's increasing, you know, the Schumann frequency raises, so the vibration of Earth is raising, right? So it's affecting our physical bodies very much, and it's affecting our electromagnetic field as well. So we're feeling all of these kind of, when energy rises up from Gaia, how I experience it is there's a lot of earthly information. So it's like Akashic information that is related to all that has been, all that will be, and all that is in relation to all life forms that have been a part of Gaia Sophia herself. And I think there's a lot of ancient information, like how to navigate, you know, kind of like these mystery school teachings, so to speak, right? There's a lot of information, including for us, like, you know, past lives that we've experienced, whether even it's been our soul lineage or other lineages that we've interacted with as a soul. There's just all of this stuff that comes up. So the vibration of Earth, you know, we already know this, right? It's raising. So now then we're moving, like, so the first half of this week and last weekend, it was like these massive Schumann spikes. And we were just we've been in a solar minimum. So there hasn't been a lot of solar activity lately, right? So the sun is an integral part of the ascension journey, or this journey of transformation, or this vibrational shift we're going through. And the sun really affects our DNA. So the way I see it is kind of like, we've got our carbon DNA, and that's connected to our ancestors, and that kind of lineage, our earthbound lineage. And then we have our etheric DNA, or our crystalline DNA, and that's kind of our galactic or more cosmic information or connection to, you know, different star systems and throughout the universe, and different vibrational energies that aren't physically tied to Earth, right? And my guides the other day were showing me it as a zipper. So it's like, you imagine a zipper, so right, you've got one side, and that's our carbon DNA, you've got the other side, that's the crystalline DNA. And what's happening is this merging, right? It's like they're coming together. And this merging is what's allowing us to still be physical and have the ego still be allowed to have an individual perspective in its journey, while also being able to understand that we are not separate from source and separate from all that is, right? So we understand that we're these light beings and that we aren't separate from the whole, yet we're choosing to have an individual perspective. So that's kind of, and in that is all of that galactic information. So that's the sun is kind of helping. So it's like we've got the earth like rising up more of this, earthly Akashic information. The sun is bringing in, more of the galactic Akashic information. And this is kind of starting to weave. And so we had the Schumann, and then we had this big unexpected, well, you can't really say unexpected, right? Because there is a flow to it. But this is really interesting. And I want to note that I heard someone else talking about this. And I was like, wow, that's so very interesting and powerful. The thing with coronal mass ejection, so when the sun is just all of a sudden shoots out like a fireball flare of light, and it's holding all of this plasmic light, right? And I'm going to talk about that in a minute. But when that happens, what's really interesting is, unlike the moon, so I'm gonna get into that too. So it's like we've got the moon, we've got these solar cycles, and we've got these lunar cycles, right? And we've got astrological cycles, and we've got seasons and day and night. There's some level of predictability to the cycles of energy on Earth. And the interesting thing about these they're called CMEs, these coronal mass ejections, is when the sun starts flaring, we don't really know when that's gonna happen. Like, it's like all of a sudden the sun's just like bam. Of course, on a more greater perspective, of course, on or maybe on a soul level or a higher self level, we have called that in for that to happen. So it's not like it's totally unpredictable, but you understand what I'm saying. It's not on a calendar. We can't predict it a year from now. We know Mercury's in retrograde or whatever, right? So we have some level of understanding. So that's what's interesting about solar activity. And on a human level, I think it's really powerful because we like to know what's happening. We like to feel like we're in control. And I think that's part of the scrambling, is all of a sudden this blast of plasmic light is interacting with our atmosphere, and it's interacting with our magnetic field and our auric field, and it wobbles and it's intense. And it's like, plasma is all about transformation. We think of it's holding an incredible amount of information and new information that is wanting to be expressed into a new form. So it's like a new holographic projection that we are able to interact with. And I believe we've been calling it forward. I believe January, February, March, and still of April has been tons of clearing. It's like clearing. I know we're always freaking clearing, right? Like transmuting and clearing. But it's because that will continue to happen because we're continuing to make more space for more light. And plasma light is how we have a plasma body in our energy field. So it's how we can move into, it's how we can express ourselves in a new vibrational template. And that's what I feel a lot of us have been calling forward. So there's been this, we're still in this resurrection energy, right? So like Easter is all about resurrection or rebirth or renewal. And we're still in this. We're still in what is coming forward to be expressed and how it wants to be expressed. But it's on a very physical level as well. So it's not just a timeline shift. This is like really a huge template shift. And it's really exciting. And the other part of this is that, we're leaving this solar minimum. So we've been in a solar minimum, meaning there's been very little this last year, little solar activity. And we're about to shift into going back into a solar maximum, right? So there's going to be more and more and more of the solar activity. And that's kind of why I wanted to talk to you guys about it today, because just to be aware of it is always, you know, it adds a little soothingness to the ego and the parts of us that feel unsure with all this transformational stuff going on. It's going to be more and more and more, and especially over these next 3 to 5 years, right? So we're going to have more. And I don't know if you guys have been feeling it in your body. So it's more electrical. So the sun is like, you know, again, the Schumann is affecting the physical body. The sun is affecting our meridians and our electrical system. And then now here we are, so right, it's like lighting us up. It's alchemy, it's transformation. And here we are now, still being affected by this, this CME that happened over the weekend. And then now we have today the supermoon, right? I think it happens tonight, or I don't know, Jessica's in New Zealand. I always get my time changes to if was yesterday or today or tomorrow, or however that works. But so it's the pink moon, but that's still about a 3-day or 72-hour gateway, right? Like these full moon energies. So it's a super moon. So we've talked about more masculine energy, right? That's the solar, that's the fire, that's the alchemy. Here we are with the Schumann, so that's more of the physical, the earthly, right, energies. And now we're in this element of water, right? So the moon is all about water. So the solar energy is going to really bring forward our mental, especially like the mental thoughts that are ready to shift for us as well. So there's just been, it's like, bam, it's like really bringing forward how we are navigating the mental realm, what we are thinking, how we are perceiving, what we are interacting with, because that's how we're always sovereign and free. It's not about what's happening, it's about how we're choosing to perceive what is happening, what filter we're choosing to or you know, what filter or lens we want to see how life is unfolding for us. Is the shift between not changing what's happening, but seeing it through a more heart-based or a more clear a lens that's more empowering. And now we're in this full moon, this pink moon, which is really cool because it feels really heart-based, but it's aligned to the Scorpio energy, right? And so the moon is all about the water, that's all about emotion, and you know, this is stuff that I know a lot of us already know. So I'm just trying to really bring in this big picture of how intense it's been this week. And I don't know if you guys have been feeling that, but like on all fronts. So physically, mentally, emotionally, and of course ethically and spiritually. That's always a part of what's going on because that's who we really are. So we have this moon. It's in this. It's aligned to Scorpio. It's a Scorpio new moon. I have Scorpio rising in my chart, so I'm about to get my period. Like, it's just been like super nutty. I had these rapid like all of this stuff kind of moving around for me. But Scorpio is also about transformation. So what a perfect alignment of energy, as intense as it can be. I think that's it's evidence to what we're really calling in. It's like we're ready to bring in and usher a lot of change on this planet, right? We know that. It's gonna be in a more palpable way. And all these downloads and all these visions, you know, so many of us in here are visionaries. We're envisioning this new earth and how we want reality to be. And so yet our template that our physical body is interacting with is needing to upgrade to be able to hold the bandwidth of light to be able to birth such structures, if that makes sense. So transformation makes complete sense. And we're about to this week as well, Pluto's about to go into retrograde. So this is all about freedom and control. And I believe these two energies are the shadow and the light energies that are up right now, up to be contemplated, up to be curious about, and up to see, you know, how your belief systems and programs, how you're being affected by these energies, right? So I just want to kind of like look at my notes here. And I'm going to write this out for you guys in the group too. I have like a few journal notes. I'm going to say, I should have said you guys should bring journals, but I didn't really think of it. So what's coming up is, I think it's really important to look at all the ways in our reality that we're still bringing a lot of control energy to. We're trying to control our ascension journey. We're trying to control people, places, and things. We're trying to, and the more we do this work, the thing is, you know, early on it can be really obvious, but it starts to get very subtle, right? These subtle ways we're still trying to be in control. So why? We can either feel safe, or we can feel the illusion of feeling empowered. But when we are operating and needing to control, it's not empowered, it's power over, right? Because it's power over another. How can we release more control? How can we surrender? How can we trust, right? Those are big themes. Is in order to surrender, there's a part of us that has to be ready to trust. And when we're exhausted and we're triggered and there's just like all of this stuff, there's still ways that we're trying to cope and feel safe, and the ego wants to know what's happening or wants to start. There's a lot of ways we cope with chaos, but it's always this beautiful divine chaos with trying to find rigid ways in our lives, you know, to kind of feel this safety. So just kind of looking in that. So what are we ready to leave behind is our great question anytime we're doing intention setting, right? So it's like, what are we ready to leave behind? Because we've been envisioning this new template and what we want to offer and what we're ready to step into. So what's no longer aligning? What's getting in the way of that template fully merging with our physical body that we've been calling forward? So are we ready to embody the new? Do we have anxiety? You know, it is always a little bit, it is for me at least, I will say, like I always get a little scared. I always feel anxiety because it feels unknown. It feels expansive. And I don't always understand the energy I'm feeling, but I start to feel, sometimes I want to quit. Like I don't want to do this anymore. And I don't even know why I'm feeling that way. So being curious about that. What evidence of this new template or these new visions or these new desires that you've been calling forward in your manifesting work, like what evidence of that is already here? You know, and amplifying that. Starting to see like, wow, you know, I had this interaction with my partner the other day, and in the past I used to get a little triggered, and I noticed this time it had less of a hook in me, and I was able to cultivate more peace. Like even that, like really starting to celebrate the evidence of your new vibration of what, and the new embodiment that you're holding. Or the visions, the downloads, the things that are coming through. That's evidence as well. You are not having visions and downloads of new, or even the desire of like, I want to do this in my soul business. I might want to move. You start having these desires because it's in your auric field. Your higher self and your guides, you're interacting with this. This is already a part of a strong potential for you. So that's evidence as well. And then taking time to go into that visionary space, you know, of what will the new look like and feel like. Because when we're envisioning the new, and what I mean is like that new template of like, what would it feel like to embody a higher vibration? You know, what level of peace, freedom, joy, passion, you know, what would it feel like to be in that without any super specific stories, like just really attuning to embodying that. That's a great practice, is like kind of just creating that space of beingness, just to feel all of that, of those different colors of light that are wanting to that are ready to merge with you and where you're at in this now moment. And I think that's part of this lunar energy too. That the lunar energy always kind of brings us a little bit inward, right? So we've been blasted with the Schumann, we've been blasted with the sun, we've been blasted with earthly activations, we've been blasted with cosmic activations. So it's like, now it's like integrating it, right? And the moon is gonna kind of, you know, clear some of the things that are in the way from us, you know, ready to integrate these new codes, these new desires, the new energy, the new template. So, rather than forcing these desires to, this is also an invitation to release the control around how it all unfolds and learning. We are always fine-tuning how we can flow better with what's here. The more we're in a state of non-resistance, I talk about this like freaking all the time because it's something I navigate all the time, is not forcing things. The more I'm in non-resistance to what is, the more I can cultivate a space of peace, of beingness, is how I can step back into flow. When I'm not in judgment, I am in a greater bandwidth of connection to source. And in that space, it's like I step into this total flow state. And we're always trying to, and it also in that state, I'm able to manifest more instantaneously. I'm able to magnetize new opportunities or connections or all that I need. It's everything we need is already here. It's just about kind of getting out of the way so we can see what's here. And we miss a lot. I miss a lot. We're human. This is still part of, you know, the practice. So what are we ready to release control over? And think of that statement: control over, power over. This is a lot of old energy, like ancient energy that's been going on for thousands of years, not just on Earth, but galactically in other star systems, right? So this power over other is all about feeling separate. So this is what's shifting. So I release control over what? I surrender to what? My heart, to source, to what is. I am creating more space for what? What do you want? What do you want to experience more of? What are you ready to create more space? I think we have actually been creating that space, so it's kind of like calling that in now. I trust. What are you not in trust of, right? So then tuning to what are you ready to now be in trust of? What are all the ways that we get all stressed out and triggered by all the crunchiness of life? You know, what are we really ready just to like be like, man, I'm done fighting. I'm ready to just be and allow. And also the last kind of message that I wrote down that came through to share with you guys, and then I'm almost done with this, is it's also okay if anyone is in a space where they feel like they don't know what exactly that new is, or what exactly is going on for them, or maybe they're still in a space of transformation. Sometimes we hit this void space, and sometimes we feel like, I don't know what that new course is. I don't know what that new offering is, or I don't know what that new expression is yet. I feel there's something there, but I'm not quite sure. often we start to get into fear, and then we go, oh my God, I'm so confused, I'm so lost, I'm so unsupported, I don't feel my guides, I don't feel source, and we spin out a lot. And rather getting comfortable with that space and feeling that not knowing is actually a really high vibrational space, because it's opening you up to the infinite knowledge and wisdom that is here. And I think sometimes the greatest peace that we can cultivate is when we just sometimes be like, you know what? I don't know. I don't know what's going on. And like, that's good. That's okay. Because you're creating the space to know when you need to know. And that information will come in for you. Because you do know it's there. You're just needing to kind of, I think sometimes it's an indication of a lot that is clearing for you. So you're in this really yummy space actually about to receive something new. I'm going to look at these questions now and see what you guys. Yesterday brought up some interpersonal stuff and tested my patience and ability to let others just wash over me. Saturday, I got a huge burst of inspiration and creative energy and made a logo for the musical project that my partner and I are starting. Took 6 hours and I didn't eat or pee or drink or anything until it was done. I felt so focused and driven and satisfied. So, yeah. Well, part of that solar energy, it's very different. Okay, so it's like full moon energy can be like intense in a way, right? Because it's so emotional. But the solar activity is more like irritable and crunchy and just like, I don't know if you guys felt a little bit of that running through your body. Just like it's more nervous system related. So testing patience, yeah, so feeling the opposite of patience is kind of what that would bring about. And I think like what I'm tuning in is that it's still that imbalanced masculine, right? Because it's a lot of the sun is a manifestation of masculine energy. So it's bringing up the imbalanced masculine energy for all of us is what's coming through. And it's in those moments, what's wanting to actually, the medicine is to cultivate more of that divine feminine. So it's very interesting, the moon and the sun, like it's really cool to me that these two energies right now are like almost overlapping, or there is some interlap. And it's like remembering to bring in that divine feminine, because she's all about patience, right? She's the compassionate space of unconditional love. And being able to allow others to still be in their journey where they're at, even though it may feel inconvenient. There's an illusion that it's inconvenient to where we're at in a moment, right? And that's like that we get impatient and frustrated and how they're reacting or how they're acting, or because everyone's feeling this too. So that's the hard part, is like, how do we have compassion? Because everyone's going through their shit too, man, whether they know it or not. But when we're triggered and all this is coming up, it can kind of be a little bit of a recipe for like a little bit of an explosion. But that's what's coming through, is that's the alchemy too. So don't judge it. Don't judge ourselves when we sometimes fall short and we get a little snappy or we get a little irritated. Continue to bring that compassion to yourself as well, because that's kind of like the adolescent, boy with his hormones, and he's impatient and frustrated with his parents and like, it's like, bring that to yourself as well. There is no right or wrong. This is all just practice. And some of these triggers, it's just part of the beautiful process of alchemy and this living in this mirrored hologram. And then that's interesting, yeah. So this creative energy, well, that's, the doing, that's the masculine. So the sun is really working for you. It's like focused, boom, you're in your flow. The masculine is there and ready to like really serve the feminine and getting that message or that workout or this new logo or all of that stuff. So that's amazing. And I'm definitely so confused about how to navigate my relationship at the moment. What's a boundary? What's an unrealistic expectation? What's his? What's mine? Walking the line between being a creator, being, and simply surrendering. Ooh, yeah. I'm just kind of rereading it. What's an unrealistic expectation? Yeah. What I feel, or like why I'm breathing in that way, is because I'm just like, I'm feeling the energy of it, because it's really, I can feel it's really forward or up, meaning I'm just feeling the alchemy of it too. So I can share in my, and I know that I've talked about this before, and there's things that I know that we've, shared about before in relationship wise. And so it's like, there's these gateways that our relationships go through, intimate relationships, when we're in partnership with another human. So our businesses go through gateways. I mean, everything is always having to transform and level up. So that can be challenging, because we're doing it by ourselves, and then our businesses are doing it, our families are doing it, our partners, our friends. So it's always when we go through a gateway, and so this energy right now is kind of very gateway-like, right? Every, this full moon gateway, this solar, all this stuff. We're in this gateway energy. And what's no longer working is kind of unweaving. And so it's kind of in this chaos mode, and that's what it feels like, right? It's kind of like, there's just like all the stuff that is like not feeling in resonance anymore. And so we're having to make that discernment. And so that's what I feel is part of the overwhelm or the confusion, is this discernment piece of like, okay, so now it's all up, and there's just like all of this energy on the plate. How do I discern through my heart? Not my triggers, not my traumas, not the little girl inside of me, through what she didn't get from mom and dad, right? Like, not the mind, it's like through the heart of what's really what I need right now, what's in not just my highest good, but the highest good of my partnership, right? With person, place, thing, whatever it be. I'm feeling, or what I always do for myself as well, is when I'm feeling all of that and I feel that confusion, because I'm still unsure of like, I don't want to be impulsive, to some things that I'm like, this isn't working for me anymore. It's like, so I like, what's coming through is always like, just again, like, it's like opening this beautiful space of emptiness, of just heart-spaced, unconditional love and compassion. And I have at times, I'm like, this is what's coming through now to share, is visualizing all of these things we have uncertainty or confusion about, and putting it in that space of emptiness. But that space of emptiness is pure source, it's pure love. And kind of feeling like we don't have to do all the work. Like, our higher self energy, just through frequency and vibration, will start to kind of weed out and filter and clear and reorganize, old patterns into new patterns. Like, the more we kind of just hold the space with an open heart and just kind of, so I feel Hanuman coming in as I'm talking about this. So I think that's the invitation, actually. So is filtering through our heart, through this space, right? It's just kind of like, okay, I don't need to make any huge decisions today. I'm just going to put all of this in this space. And I'm actually going to kind of just like shelve it, even for an hour, maybe for 24 hours, and just calling in the clarity of what I really need that is in the highest good for me and the highest good of all of those around me. And then really just opening up to the insights and the knowings that start coming through, the clarity, those moments of creating compassion for you and everyone else. And I really feel the energy starts to do a lot of it on its own. And then you get to start interpreting through words and knowings and downloads what is really calling you, or what's calling you forward, or what's ready for you to interact with in a new way. I hope that, I don't know if that makes sense, or I hope that makes sense, kind of what I'm saying. Anne-Marie saying, I feel you, heart, me, and mine have been slowly working on our common language that is inherently indicative of our needs, using words like space a lot to indicate that we need more or need to be held, etc. Yeah, that's beautiful. That's beautiful. Yeah, space in relationships, I think, is, from my perspective and my experience, one of the biggest medicines, because two people are, you've got a relationship entity or container energy, and then you've got two individuals. It's a lot to navigate. And I think taking space, literally, there's times I've stepped away from my partner even, I'm like, I'm going to go away for 24 hours. Like, I need to go get an Airbnb and just have space. Because sometimes when you're too close to the energy that's shifting, and it's like I get too close to my own triggers as well, so it's like, then when I step away, it's like, then it helps, maybe this is just me, it helps me to see it more from my heart and from my truth, and rather from my little inner girl that's scared that he's not gonna meet me there or be able to support it, all the stuffs that happen. And what's really beautiful is it also allows our partner or whoever, a friend or whatever it is, to also have the space to get clear on what they need, and then when you come back together, that's when I always feel like it's a really beautiful, you'll just know, they're ready to do this or not do this, and there's just, it gives space for the new to present. And Anne-Marie, you can only look into your trigger mirror for so many hours per day. Yeah, totally. It can be super intense. And I know, yeah, so both of you are in relationships, so it's can be a lot. Those mirrors, for sure. So, goodbye, and thank you to everyone listening to this energy update, and just, if you want to continue joining these gatherings and bringing your questions, and you can just join New Paradigm of Light. It's my private Facebook group, and I will just add you and reach out to me with any additional questions. So, thank you very much.